Well, the latest New Zealand Herald Mood of the Boardroom survey is out, capturing what CEOs and senior executives from across the country think about the government, policy and leadership. NZME Business Editorial Director Fran O'Sullivan is delivering the results to business leaders this morning, including the rankings of cabinet ministers. Let's take a look.
So cabinet ministers, this is something we do each year. Erica has become top of class again. I think she might be here in the room today. Amazing number of people find you very impressive, and we haven't seen such levels in the survey, but you're not alone. That kicks down to some of your colleagues as well. Winston Peters this is amazing. 15 years ago, you wouldn't have been seen in the same room with him, I tell you. He used to be called the nodfather, and things were, the comments were quite unprintable, frankly, in the survey, because unless you wanted to be tied up in a 10-year defamation suit. So, but it's interesting. He's at 80, he's reached this new height, and people do rate him well. Looking through, Chris Penk, interesting, not in cabinet, but rated well. So again there, comments on the Prime Minister's appointments of particular people paying dividends, and this rather acerbic quote about Winston, impressing as Foreign Affairs Minister, but maybe not for greyhound owners, which I really loved. Anyway, excellent examples of leadership, but it now, some sense of playing politics with issues, which is starting to creep in now, as we've seen over the last week or so, with, policy divergement and agree to disagree starting to be put in place by the said for Minister. Okay, but, some of the policies, fast-track consent, a game changer for some of the companies. And again, we're seeing one of the companies in this room starting to move again, getting infrastructure built after waiting a long time. But here, again, a different comment relating really to Pernod Ricard, which is from the wine sector. Again, they're facing difficulties. So there's a lot of things that are impacting, some good, some bad. So cabinet ministers outside of the top 5. Sorry, Minister, you're not rating up there this year. Neither is the Prime Minister. And this is something that we'll come back to shortly. So Christopher, we called it the Christopher conundrum because it's a two-tier situation. I mean, he does play well internationally. He really does work exceptionally hard, as people know. He's done well to keep cabinet colleagues focused on delivery, but building confidence with business, his own political performance, and delivering on transformative change, less impressive, and that is where some work needs to occur.
Well, that was Fran O'Sullivan, and we'll have more from the Mood of the Boardroom live with Garth Bray from Business Desk. Welcome back to Herald Now. I'm Michael Morris. Staying with the Mood of the Boardroom this morning, Garth Bray is in attendance and joins us now again. Nicola Willis, Garth, what is she telling the room?
Well, Michael, I'm just keeping my voice a little bit low at the moment. I hope you're picking me up there because Barbara Edmonds is still just on stage. She followed after Nicola Willis and she's just wrapping up her presentation there. She rated as the top-ranked Labour Cabinet Minister in the pick from the Mood of the Boardroom study with 3.2 out of 5, well ahead of Chris Hipkins on 2.28. And Kieran McAnulty, who was the second-ranked Cabinet Minister. You can just hear a bit of round of applause there for her presentation to the Mood of the Boardroom, which really dealt, I think, about how this is more important than just a simple economic question. She touched on how there is a deeper, more damaging disconnect going on in the economy at the moment, and that perhaps people are losing a bit of a hope about having a better future. And I guess she touched on some of the sort of issues that we've seen overseas as well, that people are drifting away when they lose that hope of an economic future. They're going online and they're connecting with all kinds of slightly more radical fringe theories, and we're losing a sense of cohesion as a country. So really saying that the purpose that she brings to the job, if she gets the chance, is to take it beyond the boardroom and beyond the bottom line to basically trying to hold things together and keep us all on the same track. I suspect that will have touched a nerve with a few people here, and given the amount of interest that execs spend in boardrooms around the country, looking at geopolitics, looking at the wider picture, and looking at how political stability is so important to be able to do business, that might not have gone too badly. You could probably hear Nicola Willis, the Finance Minister, speaking before me. They're both on stage at the moment taking questions from the audience. Nicola Willis there in her blue power suit was basically accepting the findings of this survey, saying she diligently reads her reports. I guess she's talking about school reports there, and that she acknowledges she's had better ones, which got a laugh. A sense there that really, she's accepting basically that businesses and boardroom leaders are saying, look, you haven't quite done enough with the growth agenda. While that's a mixed message, others are saying, hey, look, it's on businesses to pick up and do the heavy lifting now and run with it. I mean, she sort of ticked off a few important infrastructure initiatives and trying to lay in how they now have a 20-year plan for health and 10-year plan for health, 20-year plan for education, buildings and so on, and how these are important signifiers that they do have the right ideas. She said she wasn't going to over-egg those Q2 gloomy GDP results, and she felt that growth is ahead. She got a round of applause too, polite, but I guess it's now all in what they make of it from here.
Yeah, and so Garth, I mean, we know that Nicola Willis ranked 13th, and so is she sort of just taking this on the chin? Because it's not a particularly good ranking. Christopher Luxon even further behind. What's her message? Is she kind of accepting that the performance of her and the PM maybe haven't been that good, according to business leaders?
Yeah, I think probably the message really is stick with us, and you get a sense from this, a consistent message coming through this mood of the boardroom survey. There's a touch of fear there. And the fear comes, I guess, and it's expressed as political uncertainty. And what that is code for is business and boardroom leaders saying, hey, National, and Coalition, you've managed to place some policies in place that we'd like, but we don't know if you're going to be around next year after the election. You have to pull your socks up. Otherwise, we could see some rapid reversals on that, and that could be bad. So there's a sense of that coming through. In terms of Christopher Luxon himself, I mean, I think that the slide up here was the Christopher conundrum, a leader who seems to have done pretty well overseas, pretty well on trade missions. He's active and energetic in those offshore spaces. But back home, not quite seeing the same thing. He's managing to kind of keep a caucus together, keep a cabinet together, but some of his political messaging's a bit off. I guess there've been some flip-flops and reversals. On the one hand, they're not going to back the America's Cup. Oh, but wait, there's money for a raft of smaller initiatives and so on. One business leader was saying, look, he went in there with one of the best sort of Rolodexes, one of the best contact lists that you would hope to have as a leader going into the PM's office, and he hasn't been calling people. He hasn't been maintaining that one-to-one connection around his officials to try and get a sense of what's really going on out there. So I guess the message from business is, hey, Christopher, call me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Garth Bray, thanks so much for your analysis. Garth Bray from Business Desk, live from the Mood of the Boardroom event, which is ongoing here at NZME. And of course, you can read more about the findings at nzherald.co.nz. It's time for our panel. Thank you very much for joining us. Tim Wilson, Maximum...